Overall, I enjoy the Scream franchise. The first is still the best, even though it's not as good as There's Nothing Out There, the horror movie that did the whole meta thing 5 years before Scream. Anyway, 1's the best, 2 I enjoyed, 3 I haven't seen in a while and I remember it being okay, and 4 really surprised me. I had avoided 4 for the longest time, but just recently checked it out and I was shocked at how much I enjoyed it. It started off a little rough with the movie within a movie within a movie thing, but once it got going, it was good. I watched it in preparation for Scream, which I'm genuinely happy they didn't call 5 Cream, although after Scriforum, at least one executive suggested this. Anyway, Scream 5 or Scream was refreshing. Before I get into the movie itself, let me talk about the name. I've been kinda tired of the whole late sequels, requels, soft reboots, whatever you want to call them, using the name of the original. It's irritating because it makes talking about the two movies more complicated than it should be. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Thing, Halloween, and many others. On top of the naming confusion, it also messes with the numbering. What's so bad about a long-running franchise having numbers? That's a whole other topic. Anyway, with Scream, I give this a pass simply because it's actually poking fun at those movies. The Scream series built itself up about being meta with the genre, and so it makes sense that they would be following the naming trend and use it as a clever jab at the industry. They even point this out within the movie with a cameo from the YouTube horror channel Dead Meat. Okay, now onto the review itself. Scream 2022 is following the trend of bringing a long-running series back to its roots. Even though there's only 5 entries, this series is now 26 years old, which makes me feel ancient. The movie's about a new set of characters, some of which are related to the original or legacy characters from the first movie. There's a new killer in town who's taken the mantle of Ghostface for reasons, as per usual, are not revealed until the end. Going in, I didn't know what to expect. I thankfully managed to avoid most spoilers except for one, which was a bummer, and I won't ruin that here. After just seeing 4 yesterday, my expectations were fairly high, and I feel the movie lived up to them, which, in my humble opinion, is no small task. 4 was the last movie Wes Craven directed before his death, so this was the first in the series that Craven wouldn't be directing. Also, this one wasn't written by Kevin Williamson, although 3 wasn't written by him either. Still, I felt that if they did the movie in a way that honored the original series and didn't crap on Wes's legacy, I'd be happy. The movie handled the transition well. There were plenty of little nods like the name of one of the characters. I also enjoyed how they continued to evolve the series. A lot of horror movies go from sequel to sequel and just have a new cast of interchangeable cannon fodder. With this, they smartly stuck to the original cast. Well, the ones who survived, and so you get to see them grow and evolve over the past few decades. Dewey went from an incompetent rookie cop to sheriff, for example. I liked how, even though it was a new team for the franchise, that is the writer and director duo, it still felt like a Scream movie. Lots of brutal kills, genuinely tense moments, and witty dialogue. No abuse of shaky cam or other nonsense that shouldn't be in this kind of movie. Yes, the cast would frequently discuss what was going on in the movie, and compared it to what happens in scary movies, but that's been an ongoing theme since the original. The movie's essentially a murder mystery that hits all the same beats as the previous films. It opens with a girl on the phone getting ambushed by Ghostface, and then the rest of the movie is various people getting picked off, which has the core characters trying to figure out the who and why. It's a tried and true formula that's been effective for the series. I will say I was surprised by the reveal at the end. I'll discuss that in a spoiler section later in the video. What I didn't like? A little bit of the reasoning behind the killing, which I also will get into the spoiler portion. Don't worry, I'll give fair warning when the spoilers are coming. There were a few dumb horror movie moments where the characters know they shouldn't do something, they do it anyway, and they end up dead. The first 2 acts of the film were great, but I thought the third act went a bit off the rails. I still enjoyed the movie overall, but I didn't think the ending was as strong as the beginning. Not a deal breaker at all, the movie is still quite good. But it just didn't land as strong as I thought it should have. Scream 2022 is a worthy follow-up to the series. As much as I'm enjoying them, I'm not sure how much longer they can go for. I know this one did very well financially, And they're already talking about doing the next one, and part of me kinda hopes it's the last. Not that I don't like them, it's just that it's getting a bit ridiculous at this point. Although you'd think the authorities would move Sydney to witness protection by this point because she is never going to be left alone. On top of that, how many people around her have been killed? She's got to have major psychological trauma, and I just worry that in a future installment, they'll try to do a major left hook and make her the killer. I do like that they spoke about some of the more recent crop of horror films and discussed why they're different. Although a good goof is that while the movie within the movie Stab is a formulaic horror movie, the Scream movies are more smart horror satire. They continuously poke fun at all the usual tropes, and while they do fall into some of them themselves, in the end, it's always, like I said in the beginning, refreshing. Well, except for 3, that one felt like somewhat of a contractual obligation. If you like the Scream series, then you will like and possibly love this one. I think it hit all the right points. It respected the source material, as well as the creators, and was just a very entertaining whodunit. If you're new to the series, I think it would be a better idea to go back to 1996, otherwise the dialogue and references to previous movies may get a little confusing or grating. Okay, now this is spoiler time. So if you don't want anything ruined, here's your warning. The thing that was spoiled for me was Billy Loomis. I didn't know to what capacity he was coming back, but I knew he would be there. It was kind of a bummer that I knew it, but it didn't take too much away from the movie. Not sure what exactly they did, if Skeet Ulrich was deep-faked or if it was makeup, but overall, I thought he looked good. Pretty close to how he looked in the original. It did make me wonder if they were somehow going to bring back Stewart, which in a way they kinda did, having the finale take place in the murder house. Okay, a few complaints that I couldn't talk about in the non-spoiler portion. The reveal half surprised me. When I saw Amber was one of them, I wasn't expecting that. I had a feeling the boyfriend was the other, so that one didn't really surprise me. Now onto their motivations. While I get what they were going for, it still felt kinda like they were shitting on the fans. I mean, what's so wrong with wanting a series to respect the source material? I understand they were using this as an extreme version of rabid fandom, but it still made me wince a little. How many franchises have been bastardized by a studio or executive who thinks they can improve it? We just saw it recently with the Halo TV series, where the creators admitted they knew nothing about the games the show is supposed to be based on. And when the product's released and the fans of the originals are mad, they call them loser incels and so on. Maybe if there wasn't such a distaste these days for hardcore fans, it wouldn't have bothered me, but then I guess that if that didn't exist, they wouldn't have had it to use for the motivation. My other gripe was that Amber was kinda tiny. Not sure how she was able to pull off some of these kills and would often tower over the victim. Was she wearing those Spice Girls shoes? Although this is something that all the movies have gone through, where you have to suspend your disbelief that the killers wouldn't be covered in bruises, and that no one would notice the height differences. I was sad that Dewey and Judy both got it. Although with this being the latest, whatever you want to call it, I knew stakes were going to be raised, and some major characters were going to get it. Anyway, Scream was good. It might be my new favorite after the original.